It's the Guitar Dads!
Welcome to the Guitar Dads Podcast, a podcast for guitar dads by guitar dads. This week, shot through the arm and you're in the gate. Prices are getting slashed at a new record label, and Matt's rocketing towards another clone. We'll try to hit a bullseye this week on the Guitar Dads Podcast. Now, two guys who could never be cloned, Matt and Dave.
Hello, everybody. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave, and welcome to another pod. What episode is this?
Welcome back. This is episode 26. And so we had a pod up every week the last few weeks, but we actually recorded all those in one night before Dave went on vacation for a couple of weeks. So, Dave, you're back from vacation. Are you feeling refreshed?
I am back. I'm refreshed, I'm relaxed, and I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
and not much has happened since I was... Not a ton has happened, but we'll try to cover it.
Yeah, we got some news that we can get into pretty quickly here. But yeah, so, thank you all for listening. It sounds like we might have picked up some new listeners with my brother's interview. So those of you that are friends of my brother and heard the podcast because of him, welcome aboard.
Yes, welcome to everybody. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you
for
You
guys listening.
Continue
make the
to listen.
Show.
And tell your friends.
Tell your friends, because you never know. You might have friends that they may not be guitar dads per se or moms, but hey, they may like a music podcast, so let them know. Maybe they'll dig it.
You don't have to be a guitar parent to like this, but it's focused on guitar daddery. But if you
if you like it, send us some comments to our email account. guitardadspodcast@gmail.com, and you can check us out on Instagram at Guitar Dads Pod, same on Twitter.
Yeah.
So we thank you. We really do.
All right, Dave, let's get into it. What are this week's news and notes for the Guitar Dads
universe? We got some news and notes, and maybe we'll kind of get the sad stuff out of the way first. Okay. What do you think? Then we'll jump into
let's
the
do
rest
with the
of
bad
good
news
stuff.
first. It's fine.
So, interestingly enough, 10 years, and I'm bringing this up because 10 years ago, yesterday, I think, Jani Lane passed away, the lead singer of Warrant.
Jani Lane from
Warrant.
Which band?
Warrant.
From Warrant.
Warrant, yeah. And I'm gonna pose a question to you. Where do you put him in like the echelon of singers, of rock singers?
Warrant was awesome. Again, so this is along the lines of what we talked about once when I was talking about 80s guitarists and how there were so many monster guitar players that like people kind of got lost. Like it was hard to stand out with so many amazing guitar players. And I feel like the same is true with 80s singers. There were so many amazing singers in the 80s.
Oh yeah, tons.
So it's like insane singing that you just don't see anymore. So it's like, unless you're listening to Dirty Honey or Miles Kennedy, but
That's right.
But even then, like, but even we have to mention that every week, by the way, guys. But yeah, so, I mean, he was one of the best of that era. And if you're a guitar dad, you're into 80s hair metal. He was one of the best, in my opinion, from that era. I mean, he just wailed, right? I mean, him, Sebastian
really
Bach,
Yep.
You can run through all of them, right? Even like, I don't hide the fact that I'm a big Bon Jovi fan, but Bon Jovi back in the day was incredible as a singer, along with like the harmonies.
I would never believe you're a Bon Jovi fan.
As well as the the harmonies that he did with Richie, which are just incredible. But he just runs out. Like the guy from Cinderella was absolutely amazing.
He was amazing. He can still kind of sing though, but John Bon Jovi, I feel like of all the singers, or at least the ones that are still really performing consistently today.
But Sebastian,
he kind of fell the fastest, right? I mean,
well, it's true. Well, I don't know about that because he was sounding really good up until I want to say like 2005, 2006, so like 15 years ago. He was sounding really good, and that was a good run. That was like a 30-year run up to that point. So
that's true. That's a good point.
So it's like he's doing pretty well, but and I still think he sounds good. Like you and I had this argument on one of our first podcasts, how I thought the Bon Jovi album that he put out in 2020 was actually good. Yes, it's a totally different vocal style than you're used to with Bon Jovi, but I still think it was good.
Yeah.
And I thought Phil X had some good licks on it. So anyway, but
Yeah,
you know,
in a
let's
vacuum,
not get into
yeah.
let's not get
Yeah,
into a
let's
Bon Jovi discussion. But
we'll do that show next week.
We could talk about that.
We
forever.
could go all night.
But along the same lines, like Sebastian Bach can't sing like he used to sing, and he was probably one of the best back in the day. I mean, his voice was just unbelievable. The range he had, along with Axl Rose, which we'll get to later in this pod.
The range that those guys had, I definitely agree. I think if you're talking like top 10, I mean, you got to put those two in there, obviously.
Yeah.
You know,
but Janie, I would put Janie up there as well because he was great. You know, so great. 10 years. Wow, that's a long time. 10 years he's gone. There was another monster that was lost last week.
Another one, yes.
So it's Dusty Hill of ZZ Top. Very sad. The bass player for ZZ Top.
Yeah, I didn't know that he was not going to be starting on their tour because he had a hip injury. And I guess that's what kind of led down the wrong road.
Yeah, he wasn't really in great health. You know, they're another band though that's been going since the 70s. Yeah, and had just been
pretty hard.
Yeah, touring almost not nonstop, but touring quite a bit. You know, and Billy Gibbons is what, like 70s easily, right?
He's in his 70s.
Yeah. So I think Dusty was what, 74? You have to Google this.
I think, but no, Dusty was 72.
72. Okay, so 72. So not that old, you know, to die, obviously. But yeah, what a sad thing. But he was, you know, you talk about ZZ Top and the mark that they left on the blues. I mean, when you talk about the 80s, they even had a run in the 80s. You know, with Legs and Sharp Dressed Man and all that. Yeah. You know, so you know what an iconic band, iconic bassist.
Yeah, Billy Gibbons, 71.
71. Okay, so they're about the same age.
They're in the same age.
You know, really sad that ZZ Top has this loss, and the world has had this loss of this amazing bassist, and you know.
But I guess his tech was going to be filling in anyway, so I guess they're still going to continue the tour.
Yeah, the show must go on is what what the Reverend Billy Gibbons said.
Yeah. So hey, good for them, and you know, sympathies to the family. What another loss for the last like year and a half, 2 years. We've lost a lot of people that are, you know.
It's really
not
sad.
the least of which would be like Eddie Van Halen, but you know, just a number of people.
Yeah, I mean, this is another legendary guy that's gone, so it's very sad. But you know, Dave, this is sadly to say these guys are getting older, and we're going to start seeing more and more of this with that era of bands. You know.
Well, speaking of getting older, we've talked about him a ton but he can't stop making headlines.
Yeah,
Vince Neil.
Yes.
Like an Eddie Trunk
it was like some private event with Eddie Trunk and Sammy. Yeah, like Sammy Hagar and Vince.
Sammy was there.
Played sets, and what happened was Eddie Trunk, he posted all this stuff on Instagram of Vince performing, and I'll tell you what, I still wouldn't say it was good, but it was better.
It was better. He's getting there.
It was better. He didn't sound as labored with his singing.
He looks better too.
He looks looks like he dropped a little weight, maybe not a lot, but maybe
the stadium tour is going to happen.
Yeah, so maybe this is going to happen. I mean, maybe things are looking up. Maybe Vince heard the screams loud and clear that he's got to clean up his act. So, you know, look,
maybe I would love to see the primal scream.
Yeah, look, I would love to see Vince out there with Motley and the whole thing, right? Yeah.
Oh, if he can do it, we are definitely going.
Oh yeah, we gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go. It's gotta happen. So yeah. So anyway,
it's gonna be what, next summer. So that
next summer at this
rate, he's got a little bit of time to figure this out.
The same with Aerosmith, Dave.
Yeah. Although we keep talking about those rumors too. We'll see if that ever comes to fruition.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. All right. Well, so Vince, you know, things are looking up for Vince, so that's good news.
Things are looking up for Vince. Speaking of concerts in general, we're starting to see a lot of that landscape change because of the virus and the variants and you know, a lot of
Delta.
Like the Delta and
it's the Delta.
You know, it's the Delta. Watch the Delta. But the Live Nation and other promoters are starting to, you know, kind of have their word out there, whether they support artists that want vaccine passports, they want testing, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, so we're starting to kind of get a clearer image of probably what the more like, near future kind of looks for concerts. Right?
Oh yeah.
So
Look. My thing on this, and like we say, we're not a political podcast. We don't
this is not.
We don't like to get
political
into
at all,
this.
no.
But my thing on this is, if that's what it takes to have shows, and people are willing to do it enough so that shows can go on, I think that's great. If this is the way that shows are going to continue and not get shut down, then it is what it is. And if I totally understand some people don't want to get vaxxed, whatever your reasons are, but unfortunately that means you're probably not going to be able to go to a lot of shows.
I agree with you. Like,
Yeah.
I think this is just the way it's probably going to have to be if you really want like a smooth re-entry into the show world again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think you're already starting to see like, bands that, like Eric Clapton.
I was just going to say, Clapton's not going to allow this.
Now, and now there was on the opposite side of the spectrum, Jason Isbell canceled a show, I think in Boston, because the venue, I think he wanted to require testing or
and they
vaccine,
didn't want
and they didn't want it, so
Yeah,
or something like that.
Well,
But
there's
it was
logistics.
on the other side of it.
Well, there's logistics that are expensive on this, right? So this is a business thing as well. It's like okay, well, we can do that, but it's going to cut into how much you're going to make on the show.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
that's the issue, and sometimes it's not just the artist who makes that call. So
there's a lot of
so he actually
factors that go
canceled
into
it,
it.
huh, Dave? He's like,
I think I
interesting.
want to. I should look into that a little bit more, but I know it was related to that, and it was a bit of a disagreement as to how the logistics were actually going to work. So
look, like we've talked about, this is going to be with us for a while. The live music industry is going to have to find a way to keep its head above water, and this is one of the ways it's going to do that.
This is one of the ways it's going to have to happen. Yeah.
So it's is it ideal? No, but at least
now,
it's better than a year ago.
I don't think this is going to happen in large volume because it's just people are desperate to do things anyway. So you get that crowd. But how like overall, do you think certain artists are just going to lose fans because of this?
Yeah. Well, I think definitely, look, again, we're not a political podcast, but
no. It's not a political question.
Just looking in the South, right? Like just look at the states where don't have high vaccination rates. If you're an artist that does well in those states, then that poses a problem for you.
Yeah, right. And that's part of my question.
I'm just talking
like, where
business.
do you tour?
Yeah, I'm just talking business wise. Like it poses a problem for you. So that's the good news is there's plenty of places that have a lot of people vaxxed, and there's plenty of people that'll do it. Maybe it's an incentive for other places to get vaxxed because they want to go see their favorite bands. I don't know, but it's an interesting development, and I'm just happy to go see live music again, and.
Exactly.
I just hope that, this thing doesn't go the other way. So, but it is an interesting development, and it's just ongoing stuff. What's going to be real interesting, Dave, is how is this going to work? They're talking about this on like outdoor big venues, right? And I think they'll just continue to do that, and it'll ramp up even more as we get into the winter and there's indoor venues. Right.
Yeah,
so,
it might. It may or may not. We'll see. But I mean, Blackberry Smoke recently had to cancel a couple of shows because Paul Jackson, their other guitarist,
guitar player, has
and he's doing fine. But they're just canceling a couple of dates. They'll be back out on the road. But to Matt's point, this is just like this is the landscape right now, and there's certain ways that certain bands feel they have to do it to be safe or to bring enough fans into the venue safely, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
this is just what it's going to look like. Right,
it's just what it's going to be.
It's not going to be forever, but it's just this is what it is right now.
Yeah.
So if you want to go see a live show, expect to kind of have to
shot in the arm.
Yeah, shot in the arm or navigate the waters as to what you might need to do.
Shot in the arm.
Shot in the arm.
You're to blame.
Yeah. So other big not names, but big events out there like Bonnaroo requiring vax or tests. There's Summerfest in Milwaukee also doing the same thing.
I've been to Summerfest, Dave.
You've been to Summerfest?
Yeah, one of my buddies lived there in Milwaukee right after college.
In Milwaukee? My apologies.
Yeah. He lived in Milwaukee right after college. You know him. And he and we went out there and went to Summerfest. We saw
cool.
Dave, that's where we saw Lifehouse.
Oh yeah, I do remember this now.
Remember Lifehouse?
I remember Lifehouse. Yeah.
Anyway, that was like the headliner band that we saw. There was other people at the time. There was probably some country artists that I wasn't into at the time. Anyway.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway. What else we got on the
other
list?
artists out there? Stevie Nicks canceled 5 festivals because of the concern about the virus.
Yeah, Stevie is not happy about this. So.
But more importantly, there is a little bit of movement, tiny bit of movement on Lindsey Buckingham getting back into Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, really? I see. I haven't heard that.
So
really?
he's been talking with
What's
Mick.
What's the scuttlebutt?
So he's been talking with Mick, and there's talk about, well, you know, of course they really want to bring him back, but there's still that ongoing rift which kind of started the whole thing and why he left this time around. Stevie Nicks, and that whole
they have
thing
a
would have
lot of history.
They have a ton of this kind of history. So because of that history and what they've been through, it would not shock me to see them like next year back on the road as a full band again, which would be great.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So Lindsay is thinking about coming back. If Stevie, they can, maybe him and PG can maybe him and Stevie can patch things up again.
I think they can. I don't know. Maybe they can. You know what?
I don't know.
Just
man.
like
a lot of baggage there.
Listen, there was a lot of baggage in GNR, and they decided the dollar signs counted a lot more than friendship.
Well, that always has a way of getting people back together. It's a very good point, Dave.
That convinced GNR. So. And speaking of GNR, they are back out on the road.
GNR, yes, GNR.
They also have a
Did
new
they
song.
kick off their tour at Fenway Park and I wasn't there? Let's talk about this for a second.
I don't think that was their first show. I think that was like their second.
It was like their second show.
Yeah.
And I didn't get tickets to Fenway Park because one, it was a rescheduled show from 2020 that I hadn't got tickets for.
I have to say,
don't ask me why I didn't have tickets for that show either. I think I just decided that. I think I was like away or something when they were playing. I think I had like plans. Long-standing plans.
I was away.
Yeah, you were away, but
I texted you, and I was convinced you were going that night. I was actually shocked. I think I had to sit down, pour myself a drink, and relax for a while when I realized you weren't going to.
Yeah, I wasn't there. Yeah, so the reason I didn't do it is because when they announced that there was going to happen, there was still so much uncertainty about what was going to happen. So I was like, I don't really want to drop a ton of money on this and then not be able to go. And then it kind of fell off my radar altogether because I would have probably, if I thought of it, I probably would have got like a last minute ticket and gone. But I didn't, and that was unfortunate, so I missed it. But it sounds like it was a good show. The reviews are still good on the band. And there's huge news about GNR is that they live debuted, and then shortly after they live debuted, they released it on like everywhere, is a new song, a new original material from GNR. This is a huge deal.
What'd you think of it?
It's called Absurd. I think it's on the scale of GNR songs, I don't rate it highly. We'll put it that way.
Well, that's saying a lot.
I mean, it's to me, it's exciting. I don't. Let's just put it this way. I don't think it's one of their better songs, right? I don't know if I would put it in like their top, 50 songs. I'll just be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not. Let's put it this way. It's not a great tune in my opinion, but it's awesome to hear new GNR stuff. This does mean they're working on original material. It does mean we will likely either continue to see singles or, amazingly, they could put out a whole album.
Well, that was the rumor, right? So
yeah.
This confirms that the rumor at least is partially true, that they were working on new material, and there it is. So,
and there's some classic Slash guitar riffage on here, Dave. So,
oh yeah, of course.
It's cool.
But have you watched? Yeah, I know you've watched because we've talked about this. But anyway, Axl kind of. Now you saw them a few years ago at Gillette, but I can hear that wine getting poured.
Yeah, it's because I pour it right next.
So good.
The listeners can't hear it, but you hear it on the iPad.
I think the listeners need to hear that.
The listeners don't hear it in the microphone, but anyway,
it's a great sound.
Yeah, it's the Pinot being poured. Anyway,
but you saw them a couple years ago. Do you think that he's kind of like fallen off a little bit?
I think he needs to get back into touring shape in terms of his voice. He definitely does, but.
What have they been doing this whole time?
But he's not terrible.
I know that you're not. I know touring shape is a whole different thing, but weren't a lot of these artists like? Because I've seen this from other artists too. Like, weren't they expecting to get back out on tour?
Yeah, but they weren't. Yeah, and what I mean by touring shape is not like Vince Neil. like get drop some weight. I mean,
no, I'm not talking weight. I'm talking voice.
Yeah, I'm talking about like, but when you sing every night for 3 hours, it takes you it takes you a little bit to get into that groove and settle in. True. And so I think he needs to settle into that. But like you sent me some clips and you were like, I don't think he sounds good. Yeah. Well, first of all, it's terrible audio quality clips that we're hearing.
That's true.
And secondly, it wasn't horrible. It's not terrible. It's like, especially when you see there and you're live in the moment, it doesn't kill it. Like it's not Axl Rose from 30 years ago, but like, come on. I mean, the guy,
yeah, what do you expect?
The guy's like 50 something years old. Give him a break. And it's still pretty good and you still get the feeling and that the excitement is there. So it's you're not going to be disappointed if you go see a GNR show.
I feel the same way. Like I feel like if I was at the show, I definitely would have felt differently than I did watching like some of these like cell phone videos of the show. You know?
I also, you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, but I'm very excited about this. I'm extremely excited about this GNR thing. Maybe if they come back around like next year, I'll definitely go see them.
What happens? So what happens if they put out a new album, right? And this Absurd is like, I mean, when you release a single, bands don't release singles thinking like they just put out their worst work on their upcoming album or whatever.
No, it's a really good point, Dave.
So if they think this is good,
what's the
rest of it going to sound
like? Is it going to be? Yeah, I don't know. You never know how this goes, but if you take, this is what I'm worried about though. I agree, Dave. If you listen to that latest Guns N' Roses album, which is essentially Axl and a couple of killer guitar players, there wasn't a lot of good stuff on that either. No, right? So like, I feel like Axl, like, I don't know if he has like the writing chops that he used to have. I don't know. It's going to be, I agree with you. I'm a little concerned about original music from them, especially after listening to this.
Did they work with a lot of writers back in the heyday?
I don't know if they did. It's worth going back and checking. I don't think so. But this is the thing. It's really hard for artists to sustain. I mean, like I was talking about before. Like I've bashed Journey enough. Like, does anybody care about Journey's new material? No. Does anybody care? Does anybody care about a lot of these old bands? New material? Probably not, if we're honest. Right, so like it's not gonna kill them if they put out a clunker album. It's gonna be disappointing to me, but
But does it hurt legacy?
No, because so many bands have put out stuff that's just like, this is okay. It'll probably be I think the song is listenable. I think it's a fun thing, but it's not like my favorite GNR stuff.
Yeah, it's listenable. But my point is, in terms of legacy, like. It's kind of like you could use like a sports analogy. You could see, a guy like a Peyton Manning who just got inducted to the Hall of Fame, right? So he had an amazing career, but at the end, he really fizzled out, and so that's part of his legacy. So does GNR, and like we'll see what happens with this new material. But
GNR,
they have solidified themselves in terms of like where they stand as rock legends. They're there. But
so I was going
to attach like a bad album to your legacy.
Well, I was going to argue with you on that. Like, I don't think. I mean, yes, they've been able to have this unbelievable comeback, but it is a comeback, right? Like they are not like an Aerosmith or a Stones or a U2 or name any of these long-standing bands that never had an extended breakup and have been putting out albums for years and years and years, one after the other, right?
Well, that strengthens my point, though. I mean, they're trying to they ended it, and maybe they ended it at the right time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they're already not in that kind of echelon of bands just for that reason. Right, because they broke up and they really have had limited. We're talking about 3 albums for the most part with GNR that are relevant at all. Right, like that's for as legendary as a band they are. Like,
well, that's true. But GNR Lies has a couple things on it.
Lies is great. Yeah, we shouldn't forget about Lies. So 4 albums, okay.
Yeah.
But you think about like all the other legendary bands, they had a much longer run than GNR had.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So maybe the exception is Zeppelin, but Zeppelin,
maybe that adds to their legacy, right? You had like 3,
it's a like good
maybe
point.
4 great albums in a relatively, given the standards today, or given the standards back then, short period of time, and then you kind of rode off into the sunset almost, and now
yeah.
you're trying to make a comeback.
And now it's like this comeback, and it's not going to be as good. But I feel like plenty of bands have done that, so I don't think it hurts their legacy as much. When you put out an album like Appetite for Destruction, not much is going to hurt you. So
that's probably
just in my opinion,
that's probably true.
But
when
I also
put out probably the #1 rock album ever.
Yeah, it's like it's right up there with it's like, to me it's on the level of Back in Black. But anyway, or Led Zeppelin 4, right, or 2. Anyway,
or 2,
or any of the Zeppelin albums.
But speaking of Slash, or any of the Zeppelin album, really any of them.
Yeah, well. Speaking of Splash. Speaking of Slash, I'm talking too fast here. Speaking of Slash,
through the Pinot.
Speaking of Slash and speaking of Gibson, I wanted to give you another little tidbit. So I actually saw the first live band I've seen since the pandemic, and it was on Saturday night, local here in town, where we have a fireworks thing, and it was a tribute band called Foreigner's Journey, which was a Foreigner and Journey tribute.
That's pretty cool.
I actually was eating dinner with my family, and we didn't get out to see the band until I think we caught 3 songs. So we caught Hot Blooded. Okay.
Nice.
We caught Separate Ways, and then they closed with Don't Stop Believin'. And so the guy who was the lead singer of this band, which I think was like a guest lead singer, is this guy Constantine from American Idol. He was one of the finalists on American Idol, on one of the first American Idols, and he was also the lead on Broadway for Rock of Ages. Did you ever see?
So he's got some pipes.
Oh, he's a hell, and he's probably like our age. He's 40s. And he still sounds good. No, is he amazing? Does he sound like those guys? No, but he sounds pretty good, and I was impressed. And this is what's even more impressive, Dave. They had this killer guitar player. What was he playing? A Les Paul, looked like a custom shop, and wait for it, a Silver Jubilee.
Ooh, nice.
So it was.
I think cool.
It was very cool.
I think the listeners, i.e. Dave, is really jonesing for a deeper dive demo of your Jubilee.
I know. I got to do it. You can't see it behind me. Okay, you can see it now if I move over. Yeah, the Jubilee. He actually was rocking a similar setup that I have, except he had the big Jubilee, the 100-watt Jubilee, and then a 2x12 orange cab to go with it.
Ooh, nice.
So anyway, it sounded so good. I was so impressed with his guitar sound. And then I heard the guitar, and I was like, well, I was like, I wonder what that guy's playing through. It sounds incredible. And then I get up there and I see a Silver Jube and a Les Paul, and the rest is history. So can't go wrong.
That's the sound. That's it.
Speaking of Gibson, let's get into this.
Speaking of Gibson, let's get right into it.
So speaking of Gibson released big news, and because we were on vacation, we are a little bit late on this news that a lot of podcasts and YouTubers and stuff had talked about, but Gibson Records was released. So this means Gibson, the guitar company, is starting a record label. So this is exciting stuff, in my opinion.
That's really cool.
A lot of people think this is a nothing burger.
I would say it's a nothing burger with the works.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's a burger, I feel like it's an awesome burger. But what do you think about what do you think about this, Dave?
Throw a fried egg on that burger, too. I mean, come on.
Ooh, yeah, I love the fried egg on the burger.
Yes,
that's great.
Absolutely.
It's a good move.
I mean, I think it's really cool, and I think it's a really interesting direction that Gibson's going in, and they probably needed to go in this direction. And I mean, let's call it like it is, right? It's pretty much going to be like Slash Records, right? I mean,
yeah, well, yeah, no, it is, and they actually, as you know, they already announced that, and they said Slash is the first artist that's going to be on the records. But here's why I think this is cool. All right, this is going to be my rant about this, this is my hot take on Gibson Records. So, like we've talked about with the digital music age, there's still a lot of gatekeeping going on in music. Okay, so the labels are still relevant, okay, because there are algorithms that they pay Spotify to push certain artists. They pay Apple to push certain artists on Apple Music. There's still a lot of gatekeeping that goes on in original music. There just is. So to have a big company like Gibson that's very influential in the scene, I hope they take this. This is what I hope they do. I don't know if will do this, but I see this as a real opportunity for Gibson to really push some great new artists and bands that are kind of keeping the rock and roll Gibson legacy alive. Right. And I think it's a great opportunity where, like one of the reasons you and I started this podcast is to talk up those bands that we feel need to be talked up for people like us that are looking for this kind of music. And so Gibson has a real opportunity to find bands like Dirty Honey or the next Dirty Honey or different bands like Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown, people that, haven't reached the level of success that those bands have. And kind of push them up, right?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And now we're kind of seeing what, like, almost with that release they put out a few months ago, right? With the Gibson Garage, showing all these artists. I mean, this was kind of the precursor to this announcement. Obviously, they kind of planned it that way, but.
Yeah, and I think so.
You're 100% right.
So I heard some hot takes on some podcasts about this, and I think it was the 60 Cycle Hum guys that had a good take that they were like, "Wouldn't it be funny?" Yeah, hi Ryan, if you're listening, it'd be great if Ryan was listening. If Ryan and Steve were listening, it'd be great. But they had a good take where it was like, wouldn't it be funny if they only signed artists who had like signature Gibsons? So
that would be awesome.
You had to have a signature Gibson in order to be on the label. And so I don't think that's going to happen. I think they will just sign, but I think all of a sudden they will become Gibson artists or Epiphone artists or something along those lines. I think like what's essentially going to happen is that's going to happen, right?
Okay, so who's their demo, right? Who are they really going after for excitement with this?
Well,
right?
So the other thing
are they going after like you and me, or are they going to try to go after the younger crowd and show them that, hey, rock is still here.
Yeah.
The Dirty Honeys, the Tyler Bryants.
Yeah.
And somehow try to present that,
I think
in
that's
an exciting way to the younger crowd.
Yeah. So if you look at this as a holistic view of Gibson, the brand, yes, I think it's all about let's bring more young people into the fold. I don't have any data to back this up, but my sense is they don't do as well with the younger demographic as, say, all these other, like Fender does, as an example. Right. I just don't think they do as well. I think their bread and butter are people like us and older that have a little bit of money to spend on guitars. Right. And and I think and like we said, they've done this revival of Epiphone, which is some great lower cost stuff. And Epiphone always kind of focus a little bit on the metal scene, which we know a lot of younger people are into. So I think we're going to see more of that. I think we might see this Gibson stuff where it's not like the classic rock type of stuff that we like, but probably leaning heavier on the metal scene, and bringing some more of those type of bands in as well, because that's what.
Who's a big who's an Epiphone guy is Matt Heafy, the lead singer and guitarist of Trivium. Right?
Yeah.
Metal band.
So there's a lot of these metal
Trivium,
guys. There's a lot of these metal guys that have Epiphone signatures, and that's what Gibson's been trying to do for a while. I think this is another angle for them to bring young players into the fold, into the Gibson kind of brand, and get them kind of hooked on Gibson the way that we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what they're trying to do with this, and I think they're going to do it, and I guess it's going to be really exciting to see what they do. There's a lot of negativity around Gibson. Like you and I are kind of Gibson fanboys, but I think we also look at it with a critical view in that, like, we understand the limitations that Gibson has and where they've made some mistakes. And, this could be a colossal mistake as well. It could just not be a good idea at all. But
they could fall flat on their face with it. But I mean, I don't know. I think the chances are kind of high that at least, I mean, even if it's not a raging success, I feel like this is a good move for them.
It is. It could be this
business-wise.
It could be this way for them to, like I said, bring up people that need a little push, that have a lot of potential and need a little push to get them into the more of the, I wouldn't say mainstream, but more of the guitar culture.
Absolutely.
Because there's plenty of people like us that are, into Gibson as guitars and would respect, who they would bring up to us as, okay, yeah, we think these are good artists. I think that's one of the angles here. The hard part that Gibson's going to have is convincing people that could care less about Gibson, right? Like that's the uphill battle they're going to have, is like some kid that's like a fan of some metal band that I don't know who they are, and no one has anything to do with Gibson. Like, Are they going to be interested? I don't know. But it could be that they're not going after those kids. It could be that they're not.
That's kind of where that's kind of where they may use. I don't know. I have no idea what they're planning on doing, but that's where they use the artist to kind of almost be their advertising wing in terms of like.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Right. I mean, not like they're gonna like in the middle of a concert like, oh, we're sponsored by Gibson, that kind of thing. Like, but just like playing the gear, wearing the shirts,
Gibson
those
Records,
Gibson Records, that kind of stuff, and or whenever they post something on YouTube, they're wearing the merch or all that. That kind of stuff, and it's just like that casual,
exactly. It's the brand.
It's
the brand.
It's
building.
the brand. It's just getting it's getting the brand out there. It's like, it's like akin to when you see like a billboard, and you don't necessarily you don't know you're being like told that's what you should be looking at, but maybe one day you see something that triggers your memory that you saw that, or you're driving along and you're like, oh yeah, that looks kind of cool. And it's the same kind of thing. Like it's not. This isn't going to be, I agree with you, like this is a way to bring in a lot of newer artists and kind of promote them. Yeah. But I think at the same time, through those artists, they're probably going to be able to build their brand in a much different light than we've seen Gibson.
Yeah. Which I think is only exciting, right? And it's nice to see Gibson trying to get into different lines of business that are actually, I believe, is actually a relevant thing. I think everybody knows now the part of the reason why Gibson had to file bankruptcy is because they were trying to get into consumer electronics, right? They were trying to get into headphones and Bluetooth speakers and all this other BS that just didn't fit with their brand, and people didn't. It
doesn't fit with their brand at all.
And they spent a lot of money, and that's why they end up going bankrupt. The guitar stuff was always fine. Like some people are like, oh, no wonder Gibson had to file bankruptcy. Their guitars are terrible and they're too expensive. It's like, that was not why they went bankrupt.
That's not why they felt. No,
it was because they tried to get into the lines of businesses and made poor acquisitions. It happens time and time again with all kinds of companies. But so I think this is a good thing. It's not an acquisition. It's going to be a ground up thing they're going to build. And I think it could be extremely exciting to watch how this unfolds.
Yes, I agree. And it's kind of a different take on a record label in a sense from how the label's actually going to be operating. Like their operational model is very different than a Columbia or you name the old record companies from back in the day. It's a very different model.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited about this. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see how it goes. But let's talk about, speaking of gear, let's get into one more thing of gear before we wrap up today. We'll do it quickly, Dave.
This is a very quick thing because we know the answer.
We know the answer. So I'm looking for another clone. Okay.
And I think you're highly justified in doing so.
Because I do have very bifurcated pedal boards now. I play with my band often enough now, which is so great, between rehearsals and gigs, that like my board pretty much, my gigging board pretty much stays in the case and I don't take it out, and I play through the Jubilee at home. So it's like, now I kind of need to build up my board that goes through the Jubilee, even though I have a decent amount of pedals on it. But my Tumnus sits on the gigging board. And, even though I have like an array of tube screamers and I have the JHS Morning Glory on this board that I play through the Jubilee. And I think I've told you, Dave, the JHS Morning Glory through the Jubilee is awesome. It's killer.
I'm sure.
It's killer. But then I'm like, I really would love like the Tumnus, but I'm like, I don't want to rip it off the gigging board. I'm like, I need another clone. So what do you think, Dave? I was thinking the J Rocket Archer.
I think you need. Well, I'm gonna say we talked about this before, but I'm gonna give you a hot take right now.
Okay.
Kind of on the spot. I think you get a second Tumnus.
Another like the Tumnus, because you have the Tumnus Deluxe.
The Tumnus Deluxe is fantastic
because of the regular Tumnus.
3-band EQ.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't even think I should screw around with the J Rocket Archer?
I don't know. People love the Archer. I mean, and hey, Lizzie Hale plays the thing all the time.
Lizzie Hale does. So. Do you remember which color one she plays? I'm gonna have to go back and look.
I don't know, but if you're gonna get an Archer, I'd say you get the gold.
The gold Archer. You think?
Because why not? That's so clownish, right?
The other one that I'm thinking about, Dave, is the Ryra. Do you know about the Ryra?
I do. Yes.
You think I should get that?
No, I think you should. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe you should get the Tumnus on. Then you kind of have the best of both worlds.
Oh,
how you doing, Sammy? So no, I think you should.
And it's the best of both worlds.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think I don't know. Have you played through an Archer before?
No, I never even played one. So,
I mean, people love them. But
I don't
think,
know, Dave. I'm gonna have to mess around with this a little bit and see what I'm gonna do. I think I'll pick one up.
Here's my take. If you're gonna spend for the same price, I say you get the Tumnus Deluxe, and you just call it a day. Because I think that's a great pedal.
All right, this is a hot take. I like this hot take.
It's a hot take. It's on the spot, and that's kind of what we're all about. But the Archer everybody loves, but also people love the Tumnus, and I think.
And the Ryra just looks cool.
Well, so are you looking for sound? Are you looking for cool?
I mean, look, aren't both important in pedals?
I mean, listen, if you're a guitar dad or mom listening to this, you know exactly where this is going. And in a couple weeks, you know there's going to be an Archer and a Tumnus Deluxe on the same board, and that's it.
And then the Ryra.
That's it.
But the other thing, Dave, is the Ryra is at that pedal shop in Plymouth that you and I should go to.
We do need to.
So maybe we have a reason to drive down there now.
You got to try it out. Yeah, I think we definitely should.
I think we should go down there.
I think we definitely should.
Well,
for those of you who don't know, this is a boutique pedal shop close by to us.
Yeah, it's on the South Shore. It's like basically almost on the Cape. So it's
like an hour away.
it's like a little far away. But it's called the Pedal Shop. With like the
shoppy,
and they do online. So if you're looking for like harder to find pedals, check them out. They're cool, and
they got a ton of stuff.
They got so much stuff online. I don't even know if they have all that stuff in the store. I don't know how it works, but I think Dave and I need to take a field trip. So stay tuned for that on the next episode.
That's right, and I think. We just want to send one more shout out to our listeners. We really appreciate it. You guys make the show. Please send us comments. Comment on YouTube. Look for us on YouTube. Comment on Instagram. Look for us on Instagram at Guitar Dads Pod.
Yes.
Same on Twitter. And send us what you want to hear because you guys really help to kind of carve the show out.
Yes.
And we appreciate it. And I think that was this week's Guitar Dads podcast.
Catch you guys on the flip.